All right, so to give a tangible example, so I've got my plan where my morning is supposed to be the keto crackers and the chocolate, or nuts and the chocolate. Here I happen to add raisins. This was basically because I was extra hungry and I wanted that extra little bit of sugar to give my brain a boost. So I added it in the form of fruit. So basically, making sure that I had enough fats and proteins, mostly fats in this case, to offset the sugar to make sure I don't get too high for a blood sugar spike. And you can see, so I was at 481 calories, so not really like a specific number it was supposed to be. Then my lunch, it was expanded a little bit. So I had green beans, the sausage, and the chicken thigh was my normal, along with that coconut oil. And then I basically added my snack in, which was the rice crackers and the Swedish fish. Normally, rice crackers with hummus would be a snack, or the Swedish fish with maybe some chocolate or something might be a snack if I was aiming for like 250 calories. So you can see that I basically just added those in, and I also had a rum and coke there. So basically added that stuff in, and so like the meal calories are way up at 800. That was over the course of about an hour that I had those. Like those, the smart sweets probably could have been pushed to later as far as where they fit. So that meal ended up being a lot bigger than what's kind of prescribed, but my overall total still worked. Had one more rum and coke there in the afternoon, and then some mashed potatoes and beef, and then some wine for dinner. So you can see that mashed potato and beef was actually a pretty small meal. And then I had 2 glasses, 4 ounce glasses of wine. So that totaled up like 430 calories. That wine was actually distributed out a bit more into the evening as well. And then at that point, and this is where you would do this as well, I took a look at my nutrition totals, and my protein was only at, I think, 80 grams or something. The carbohydrates and fat, basically, we don't really care where they're at as long as our calories are on target, and our protein is good as long as you are active enough. Unless your carbohydrates are crazy high, we're not going to have any issues there. So not really a concern unless we've specifically told you to go lower carb. So as we go into that evening, then I made a mix of, I do this yogurt, cherries, yogurt, and protein. I'll sometimes do that with blueberries as well. And then I still was a bit low for protein, so we've got these turkey sausages that we get from Costco. So they're basically protein and fat. So I added those in as well because my protein numbers were a bit low. In my plan, I was trying to keep my carbs around 200, so I wanted to add something that was a bit more fatty as that extra meal. And so that kind of worked there. So again, you can see it's 470. So essentially, I did my meals normal, make sure that my like extra sugar, carb, or alcohol content's not crazy high, but like I could have essentially, what's that? I guess it's less than one drink, 2/3 of a drink for the rums, and the wine glass. I think what's a normal, I think 8 ounces is one drink for wine, or 6 ounces or something. So it's essentially, it looks like the equivalent of about 2.5 drinks or something. So not like 6 drinks or something ridiculous. So that's kind of the key. If I had 6 drinks, there'd be no way I'd hit my calorie targets because it would screw up my appetite. Blood sugar would be up and down too much. Likewise with anything sugary. So you could have a little chocolate or something there, and it wouldn't cause too much negative effect. But as soon as you start getting into a huge amount, then you run into more issues. The other thing you can do to create more space, you can also see I started a bit later today, so that also helped my case a bit as far as not being overly hungry later. The other thing you can do is be intentional about choosing low palatability foods. So looking at those 4 drivers of food satisfaction and picking foods that are not going to be making you too that are going to be making you relatively full for the amount of calories. So if it was like, I don't know, if I did a salad with a chicken breast, maybe I do it something I don't even need oil, so I'm getting like a lot of satiety for very minimal calories. I could do that and then get away with the rum or the wine a lot easier. So that's basically it. You just want to make sure you've got that stuff that is filling when you've got those other indulgences. So essentially, it's kind of like you balance it out. The more indulgence you have, the more you make sure that the other foods you're eating are very satiating. It's like the yogurt, the cherries, the sausages are all pretty satiating for the amount of calories. So that's basically it. So I had a set plan, or I should say a template, because my intention was never to follow it exactly. I had a template, which included snacks and meals. So like I've got that meal that I ate at noon. I've got the meal I ate at 9 a.m. and my dinner meal of the mashed potatoes and the beef, and then actually that sweet cherries and yogurt and protein powder. Those are all like normal meals, and then I just had a few other things that essentially substituted in for everything else. So what do we have? 80 calories from the raisins, 120 from the 2 rum, so that's 200. Swedish fish was another 130, although those are pretty filling for what they are, so I'm not going to count those. So the raisins, the rum, so that's 200, and then the wine is another 128, so I was like 328. So what's that? 328 of my 2301, so that's less than a fifth of my overall calories. So just making sure it's not too high relative to your calorie target is basically the key. So if you're at 1700, you'd be looking for maybe 200 calories of whatever those indulgences are. If you're at 1400 calories, you might be looking for 150 calories of indulgence. So that's it. All right. Any questions? Let us know.